skip. But when does this game get fucking good?
What up? Welcome to episode 2 of Bug Vision. Today, we are going to be looking at the advent of millennial gray. Is this the biggest bore of the century or a better backdrop for your Stussy fit pick? You can be the judge. Have you ever been sat there and thought to yourself, wow, this room isn't depressing enough? Well, I introduced to you millennial gray, because when working at a private dental studio, all day isn't enough. You want to take work home with you. Because why the fuck would you have this when you could easily have this? It's kind of ironic that the people that have the strongest views on China and what Mao did to individualism all seemingly have the exact same gray house. If you're anything like me, your For You pages have been filled with videos of millennials buying these beautiful vintage homes and tearing them down and turning them into white and gray rectangles so they have a place to decompress after a day of the woke mob trying to make them 10% more gay. And I know for a fact, if anyone is listening to this who has applied for a rental or gone and looked at a rental in the last 6 months to even 12 months, I can guarantee I know what it looks like. You're walking into a room, you've got kind of the gray brushed timber floor, you've got bright white walls, and you're looking at a space that definitely could be the waiting room of a doctor's office.
Let's talk about these stairs. Y'all are absolutely hating the fact that we took these stairs out. Don't get me wrong, they were absolutely...
It's becoming more and more apparent that maybe the people that were wrapping their heads up in alfoil to block out 5G radiation might have been onto something. This to me is a perfect example of one of the additional stings of the housing crisis. You've got a commodity that's unavailable to such a large section of the population, utilized by a minority to just do something so devoid of any life or any fucking substance. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that every house has to have a fucking Eames chair in it. But what I'm saying is, what happened to color? What happened to joy? What happened to people having fucking fun? And you best believe I have some very strong and very unsubstantiated opinions as to why this might be the case. Number one, and I think the most honest answer, is that Big Fit Check has decided that your boxy vintage outfit and Stussy 8-ball shirt looks best on a millennial gray backdrop. I think the idea that people are painting their homes millennial gray so one day their kids have more spaces to take fit pics, I think it needs to be discussed more and needs to become part of the real conversation about this problem. Now, do I genuinely think that Big Fit Check is playing a role in the rise of millennial gray? Maybe. But I do also understand that it's a kind of retaliatory effort to the design styles of the 80s and 90s, which were very vibrant and very colorful. But quite often they were kind of fucking ugly. So people have stepped so far back in the other direction that they've made their houses look like prison cells. So in trying to do a bit of research as to the birthplace and or origin of millennial gray, I happened to stumble across a pretty interesting take, which I tend to kind of agree with. So it comes to us from Reddit. The poster talks about how back in the day when places like McDonald's and other fast food chains had a more kid demographic, they would use much more vibrant colors in their storefronts. They'd have like the playgrounds out the front. They'd also have the mascots, and a lot of their marketing material would just be so much more vibrantly colored. And as businesses like McDonald's have slowly started to transition into a more adult demographic for reasons like coffee sales, they've gone with a much more muted tone and tried to basically copy Starbucks. So when people are present in these spaces, they tend to see a lot more gray. Another thing that I feel like people don't talk about enough is if the people who own all the houses are deciding to do this to their properties, the people that rent, also on top of having to ponder the ever-fleeting chance of home ownership, have to do it in a lifeless gray box. There's literally no point or conclusion to this video. I just think this shit fucking sucks and it should stop. I promise next week I'll cover something more fucking interesting. I just needed to get this off my chest.